Today on Pay Rent or Pass, we're checking out the latest movie-to-game adaptation, G.I. Joe Rise of the Cobra for the 360. Yes, you heard me right, we are reviewing G.I. Joe Rise of the Cobra for the Xbox 360. Now, any self-respecting nerd can attest to the fact they owned and played with many G.I. Joes as a child, and yes, even enjoyed the phenomenal cartoon as well. Come on, we all remember those PSAs. We'll tone down all of that 80s childhood nostalgia I just drummed up, because we're talking about the game here that's based on the new movie, not the old cartoons. Now in the game, you play as teams of 2 in each mission, and if you're playing in single-player mode, you have the ability to switch between characters on the fly. Now obviously, in multiplayer, you and a friend control each of the Joes. The game offers up 12 playable G.I. Joes and 4 Cobra characters to play as in the game. Unfortunately, you have to unlock these characters as you go by finding hidden dog tags in certain levels. Now, it's not hard to find these locations, it's just a shame I couldn't play as all of the characters from the start, because by the time I finished the game, I really didn't want to go back and play anything new. Pretty bad. You know, sure, you can switch characters between missions, and even in the middle of missions. But I found early on that if you take a character like Gung-Ho, who knocks enemies down with his attack, and a commando like Snake Eyes, who gets in close and has high damage attacks, you know, you're pretty much unstoppable. All the characters, they have their own special moves that you can utilize, and offer up a lot of variety to keep the action fresh. You know, trying out different combinations of characters can be really fun at times. And on top of the unique special attacks, the game takes a cue from the movie and includes the accelerator suits. Now, once you've killed enough enemies and blown up enough of the environment, you're actually able to activate the suit and become invincible. Now the problem I have with these suits is that all of the characters, they all look the same in them, and they have the exact same attacks. You know, it would have been nice to see each of the characters have some sort of special super attack that's available to them once they're inside the suit. But, oh well, I guess. The best way I can describe the way G.I. Joe Rise of the Cobra plays, I guess it's kind of like if Contra and Smash TV were the same game, but not fun and pretty much all around broken. Literally, the entire time you play this game, you run around holding the fire button and blowing up anything that gets in your way. I mean, there were times when I was able to play with one hand because the AI is so poorly designed, it's actually unable to target me and would shoot over my head or to my side. Hell, there were times when I could shoot through the walls and kill enemies that weren't even aware I was there. You know, there are a lot of things that are wrong with the way this game plays and the way it's designed. So many in fact that I really don't have time to go into all of them today. But, if you enjoy mindless action romps where you blow up everything and everyone, then this game may be up your alley. Now, to be honest with you guys, I had high hopes for this game when it came to the graphics department. I had seen some of the concept art, and I thought to myself, hey, wow, this game could look pretty phenomenal. Then I started playing, and it felt like I'd been warped back to the days of original Xbox. This game looks like it was developed for the last generation systems. Some of the explosions, I guess they look okay, but lots of the same textures in each of the levels, the inside of the bases all look the same, and characters at times look a little bland and boring. It's kind of hard to distinguish who's who at certain points. Am I Gung-Ho? Is that Duke? Scarlet? I don't know. I can't really remember. Generic is really the key word to remember when it comes to the graphics in this game. Hell, look at the levels you play in. Desert, jungle, tundra, volcano, Cobra bases that all look the same inside. Could we be any less imaginative here? So as far as the graphics go, not so hot. Now, one of the few things in this game that I actually enjoyed was the soundtrack. The game pulls music right from the movie, and it's actually not that bad. Unfortunately, once you get about 4 hours into the game, you really want to hear something else. And every time you put on the accelerator suit, you get the same music over and over again, and it gets really repetitive. The character acting in this game is awful. Listen to this.
Mars supplied some of our best weapons in the past, and we can't let all that tech get in the hands of the bad guys.
The character voices in this game, they get extremely annoying as well. You got enemies yelling out the same bland one-liners over and over again while they attack you. Come on, give me something new. Now, the sound effects in the game, they aren't that bad. And a lot of the gunfire actually reminds me of the cartoon series, which is kind of a nice, shining ray of hope in a very dark place. One of the most annoying things about G.I. Joe Rise of the Cobra has to be the controls. Some extremely poor layout choices and no option to change them. The thing that bugs me is that you have 2 targeting controls in this game. The left bumper is supposed to act as a target lock, and the right stick is supposed to cycle through your targets. The wiser choice, in my opinion, would have had to have been to use the left bumper to cycle through your targets with each click, and the right stick should have been used to control the locked-in-place camera. There are no camera controls in this game, and it causes major headaches at times. I mean, you're running back at the camera, you can't see anything you're running towards. Extremely annoying. Now, the game lets you drive vehicles as well, lots of which you probably had as toys as kids. But don't get too excited because the controls really hamper the experience. You only use the left stick to drive, instead of being able to use the left and right sticks. It just causes problems and really defeats any fun you may have had trying to drive in this game. The controls are not that great, obviously. Here's the thing about G.I. Joe Rise of the Cobra. I mean, did we really expect it to be an amazing, mind-blowing, groundbreaking game? No. I mean, it has a Wayans brother in it, for God's sake, and it's based off of a terrible movie, not the cool cartoon series from the 80s. Poorly designed, extremely repetitive, and hey, I know the development cycle was probably rushed to have the game released in time with the movie, but even still, I expect a little more out of games these days. And it should have been a downloadable title for $10, not a full release for $50. Now, if you're a super fan of G.I. Joe, you enjoy blowing up mindless, bad guys, endless structures, hey, this one could be a rent. Now, if you're like me, you're not going to want to pick this one up at all. It's a pass. In fact, I feel kind of dirty having played my way all the way through this title. I need a shower.
Now we know.
And knowing is half the battle.
G.I. Joe!